Philly got Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George all on the floor together Saturday for the first time since January 29th. Embiid went for 29. George had arguably like his best game in Philly uniform with 26 and 13 rebounds and a win over Charlotte. They're sitting seventh at 41 and 33. Matthew, if the Sixers are healthy for the play-in, is anybody safe?
I mean, for the play-in, absolutely not. I mean, they'll win that first play-in game right away, especially if they get the Magic. Obviously, everybody wants the Magic, but if they go into the play-in at the 7th seed, home court advantage, Paul George, Maxey, Embiid, they're definitely going to make it past that. But the issue is, you get in at the 7th seed, you play Boston. You get in at the 8th seed, you play the Pistons, although maybe the Pistons without Cade. But what I'm looking at with the Sixers, and also they beat the Hornets. What happened in the Hornets? That's 2 losses. That was our hottest team in the league. Now we're talking about them having 2 losses in a row. The thing I wonder,
you're talking about Boston and Philly. I mean, geez, these are some top tier teams.
No, these some top tier teams for sure. Who else the Hornets lose? They lost to Boston, Philly. Okay, but here's my deal with Philly. Is look at that bench. I mean, once you get past Maxey, who's been your one player who's been consistent. I mean, he's played 62 games, but not only that, he actually leads the league in minutes. So, obviously he's been your guy that's been there most of the year, been incredible, been forced to play the lead dog role, averaging 29.7 assists on 46, 37, 89. I mean, that's a beautiful stat line. But then you got Embiid, who's been in and out of the lineup. Then you got Paul George, who's obviously missed the 29 games with the suspension, but was playing extremely, extremely inconsistent for most of the year, to the point where, Edgecombe was a more reliable third option at different points than Paul George. So you wonder just what they can do, but with the talent and with Embiid, if you end up playing the Pistons and they don't have Cade, I mean, that can get really interesting. I think that can get really interesting for sure.
Right. So here's a stat that should terrify every East Coast team. In the limited minutes, all three have shared the floor this season. The Sixers' offensive rating spikes to like elite levels. The problem has always been availability, not talent. Like you said, with VJ Edgecombe's emergence as a legitimate fourth option gives them something they didn't even have before. A guy that can create his own shot when the stars are resting. If they draw Orlando in the 7 versus 8 play-in game, that's a massive talent gap in Philly's favor.
No, it's a massive talent gap for sure. And also keep in mind that the Sixers have won the last 5 games that Embiid played. I mean, it makes a huge difference just because even if he's not at full speed, just like the gravity, the amount of people that got to drop down low to guard Embiid because he's just, one of the most skilled big men of all time. Then you got Edgecombe, then you got Maxey, then you got Paul George, and you even got like role players like Grimes and Oubre that can hit 3-pointers open from 3. So, I mean, having Embiid there, even if it's somewhat as a decoy with, him not being at full health, draws so much gravity down to the bucket that you're going to get so many easy baskets for everyone else. And that's why, even when he's not at full health, that's why they've won the last 5 games that he's played. So if you're the Pistons, I just don't believe that Embiid's going to be healthy for a full playoff series. Because in theory, if you're the Pistons,
nobody does.
You're right. And in theory, if you're the Pistons, you should be scared at the idea of having to play a fully healthy Sixers team without Cade Cunningham. That should scare you because you could actually lose that series. But I guess nobody trusts that Embiid would actually play a full playoff series. I think people would be more likely to think Cade's going to come back and play the full series than to think Embiid would stay healthy and play the whole series. I mean, he's 35 games this year, 35 games this year after playing 19 games last year. So that's 2 seasons, 54 games. But having said that, if he's there and it's Pistons versus Sixers, because I don't think I'm picking Sixers over Celtics, but if it's Pistons versus Sixers, I think that could be interesting for sure because you got shooters on the team. You got a lineup full of nothing but shooters. So if you got Embiid drawing all that kind of attention down low, then it's going to open up the game for everybody else.
So Matthew, do you think Daryl Morey gets enough credit for this team he put together with Embiid, Maxey, Paul George, Edgecombe? Because he drafted Edgecombe at what, number 3, right? He was a third pick. What do you think it is that Daryl Morey saw in Edgecombe? I mean, for the third pick, he could have pretty much picked almost anybody, right? But what was it about him, do you think, like, man, this is going to be a good fit with these 3 other stars that I got?
I mean, because he can do it all. He can hit shots. He can rim run. He's athletic. He's switchable on defense. I mean, there's a lot to like there. But if you want to ask why he's not getting credit, it's because the team hasn't been playing. Paul George missed 25 games. He's been inconsistent when he's been playing.
Well, listen, let's take away the injuries, right? I know we got injuries, but the fact that he was able to put these 4 together that work cohesively, let's just say they stayed healthy all year. I mean, he did a great job putting these 4 together.
I mean, nobody's, it's a dog eat dog league, man. Like, I know it's a cliche, but nobody's patting you on the back and giving you a standing ovation for going 40-33 and being 7th place in the East. I mean, sure, on paper you put together a good lineup, but it is what it is. Embiid hasn't played. Paul George hasn't played. Edgecombe's been great and was obviously a great draft pick, but the idea that he's been your second best player for big stretches of the season, that's not something that you would have liked coming into the season. So, yeah, I mean, he can get all the credit in the world for, drafting the best 2K roster, but in terms of actually playing the basketball games, them cats ain't been there. And so if somehow they all come together and they put it together and they make a run in the playoffs, then, we're all going to give him a pat on the back and a shoulder rub and a standing O. But until that happens, then
Matthew, let me ask you this. I know this is a what if. It's a big what if. But what if the 5th person on that team was James Harden still?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because just the way Harden gets, Harden, if he was still on Philly, he might wake up one day upset about some documentary he saw about the American Revolution in Philly, or he might get an eastern wind from the Atlantic Ocean and he might decide he don't want to play that day. I mean, he still very much has it. He can still make buckets. He can still play make. He doesn't play defense, but he never played defense. But I watched him and Kawhi dominate some games and go on a 21-6 run just for Harden to ask for a trade away from the team. So it's just too big of a what if because it didn't work in Houston, didn't work in Brooklyn, didn't work in Philly. Him and Embiid don't even talk. They had some viral moment just of them saying hi to each other. That's how bad their relationship is. Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice to think, oh, well, if you had Harden there and you added him to the mix with those guys, they'd be dominant. But in theory, that should have been Brooklyn with KD and Harden and Kyrie. But it just don't quite work with Harden for whatever reason because he just, he feels different on different days. And on one day he wakes up and, he thought it was going to be 84 degrees and it was 73 degrees. And, that makes him demand a trade. And, but yeah, if he was there, he was locked in, everyone playing 82 games, which, you don't get that. But they'd be a contender for sure until he demanded a trade after a 21-6